Imagine paying $25 for just 1 pound of nuts or barely half a kilogram of nuts. That's more than what most people spend on dinner. Yet, every year, millions of people across the world willingly pay this premium for macadamia nuts. But here's what's really crazy. While you're paying $25 at the store, some South African farmers are making up to $18,000 per hectare growing these tiny golden treasures. In the next 40 minutes, I am going to show you how South African farmers cracked the code on growing the world's most expensive nuts and why this industry could be Africa's agricultural gold mine. Before we do that, you're all welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Elvin Jake, and I have taken it as a personal mission to make sure that you attain your financial independence as soon as possible. I therefore invite you to go to our playlist and try to catch up on everything we've done so far. And it might interest you to know that we've launched a joint venture on the diaper production. And if this is something that catches your interest, you can just go to our About page and find our membership link and click to get all the details, or you could simply email us at africatodayinfo@gmail.com. So before we proceed, let me tell you about the South African farmer who actually went from zero to hero by planting trees everyone thought he was crazy for growing. So 50 years ago, Jenny Likana had just 2.5 acres of land in Limpopo, South Africa. His neighbors thought he had lost his mind when he chose to plant the macadamia trees instead of the traditional crops they were used to. They called him crazy, but today he owns 100 hectares and runs one of the most successful agricultural enterprises in the region. But Jenny's story isn't isolated. Across South Africa, farmers are discovering that these expensive nuts aren't just expensive to buy. They are incredibly profitable to grow. And there's an African proverb that perfectly captures what's happening here. The patient hunter gets the fastest antelope. Now you might be asking yourself, why are these nuts so expensive, and how did South Africa become the king in this industry? Well, the answer lies in this brutal truth about macadamia nuts that many people don't know. And here's the thing that will really blow your mind. The reason why these nuts are so expensive isn't what you think. It's not just about taste or nutrition. The real issue is about time, geography, and the agricultural revolution that's quietly happening in Africa. But we'll get to that shocking truth in just a moment. So the first of those brutal truths is actually patience. Yeah, macadamia trees are the ultimate test of patience. When you plant a macadamia sapling, you are making a 7-year bet. That's 7 years of watering and fertilizing trees that give you absolutely nothing in return. Now, most farmers can afford to waste 7 years of their first paycheck. Think about it. If you planted macadamia trees when iPhones were first released, you would just be getting your first harvest now. That's the kind of patience we are talking about. Now, the second bitter truth is the geography prison. Macadamia is one of those trees that is incredibly picky about where it grows. They need subtropical climates, specific rainfall patterns, and temperatures that stay between 16 and 25 degrees Celsius. So this limits production to just a handful of regions worldwide, mainly in South Africa, Australia, Hawaii, and parts of Kenya. But here's the good news. The same land that's perfect for macadamia trees is also perfect for coffee, avocados, and other high-value crops. So farmers have to choose, and most times they would go for crops that pays them back faster. So that's why the macadamia sector is still very much untapped. And the truth number 3 is the fact that macadamia is the hardest nut to crack. Do you know that the macadamia shells are about 5 times harder than the hazelnut shells? You can't just crack this in your kitchen. You need industrial equipment that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. This means small farmers often can't process their own nuts, literally making them dependent on large processors. And here's the painful part. During the processing, more than half of the nuts get damaged and can just be sold as pieces. not premium whole nuts. Now, most people think Hawaii when they hear macadamias, but that's where the story really gets interesting and where Africa steps into the picture in a big way. South Africa didn't just enter the macadamia game, they completely rewrote the rules. Here's a fact that will surprise you. South Africa is actually the world's largest producer of macadamia nuts. Not Hawaii, not Australia, South Africa. 2024, South Africa produced over 90,000 tons of macadamias compared to Australia's 56,000 tons. That's a 40% lead over their nearest competitor. But here's what's truly remarkable. Since 2010, South Africa's macadamia production has more than doubled. We are talking about growth from 28,000 tons to over 70,000 tons in just over a decade. That's the kind of agricultural revolution that changes economies. This revolution is concentrated in 3 provinces: Mpumalanga, KwaZulu-Natal, and Limpopo. So if you're in South Africa and you are in any of these regions, you are good to go, for these regions have the perfect combination of climate, soil, and rainfall that macadamia craves. So you've got no excuse if you are in any of these regions. For if you don't know, the farmers there are not just surviving, but they are thriving. Successful macadamia farmers in South Africa can generate up to 375,000 Rand per hectare. That's about $18,000 per hectare. Compare that to traditional crops like maize that generate about $2,000 per hectare, and you can understand why farmers are literally uprooting old crops to plant macadamias. But this isn't about individual wealth. The macadamia industry in South Africa employs over 10,000 permanent workers and provides seasonal work for another 9,000 people. That's nearly 20,000 jobs created by these nuts alone. So here's what I want you to ponder on, go-getters. If South Africa can dominate the world's most expensive nut market, what does this tell us about Africa's untapped agricultural potential? This is where the story becomes bigger than just nuts. South Africa macadamia's success is proof that Africa can compete at the highest levels of global agriculture. But they are not alone. Kenya is rapidly expanding macadamia production and produced about 46,000 tons back in 2024. And Malawi, despite being smaller, is the 3rd largest producer in Africa. Though small, it's helping small-scale producers transform their lives. One farmer I read about doubled his income from just 300 macadamia trees. And here you go, getter, here's what's really exciting. Do you know that 95% of South Africa's macadamia are exported? That means foreign currencies flowing into African economies. We are talking about billions of dollars of export value from nuts alone. So if you're in South Africa, Kenya, or even Malawi, please take this seriously, for the demand is exploding. China alone increased its macadamia consumption by 70% in just 1 year. So please, go-getters, take this seriously, for if you don't know, the global demand is projected to more than double by 2027. We are talking of reaching 137,000 metric tons. Now, if you don't know, the main reason why macadamia oil is so expensive is the fact that it's so versatile, right? Be it cosmetic, culinary applications, it is widely used and so scarce. You saw earlier on that China's consumption has increased by over 70%, right? Yeah, I quite remember when we go to our local markets to get oil for our hair, macadamia oil is one of the most expensive, and it often comes from China, right? So this is something you shouldn't take lightly if you really want to make money in the farming sector. So it's used in a lot of hair products, skincare products, and even in restaurants for baking, cooking, dressing of salads, and many more. So you can see that the macadamia oil is super expensive for lots of reasons. But wait, not everything is golden in macadamia land. Some experts are warning that this boom might not last forever. After years of explosive growth, many farmers expanded too quickly. In 2022 and 2023, macadamia prices crashed to historic lows. leaving many farmers struggling with debt from their rapid expansion. Some industry experts worry that if too many farmers jump into macadamia farming without proper planning, we could experience oversupply that crashes the market again. So the key is sustainable growth, not just rapid growth. There is also this concerning trend that South African farmers are selling raw nuts directly to China instead of processing them locally. And this could mean losing the higher value processing jobs to other countries. But here's the real revolution. The macadamia revolution in South Africa isn't just about nuts. It's actually a blueprint for how African countries can capture value in global markets. For too long now, Africa has been exporting raw materials while other countries capture the real value, obviously through processing and marketing profits. But macadamias show a different path. African farmers controlling high value crops from seeds to shelf. This is exactly the kind of agricultural transformation the African diaspora should be paying attention to. These aren't just farming opportunities, but they are wealth-building opportunities that could fund the next generation of African development. Remember Jene, the farmer whose neighbors thought he was crazy? His patience paid off because he understood something crucial. He understood that the most valuable opportunities often look risky to others. Remember our proverb that said, the patient hunter gets the fastest antelope. And in this case, the patient farmers are getting the most expensive nuts. And that's it, go-getters. So what other agricultural revolution do you want me to hit on? Let me know in the comment section and I'll be doing just that. And remember, while you are paying $25 for a pound of macadamias in the store, somewhere in South Africa, a farmer is counting the profits from the trees that everyone once thought it was a crazy investment. So at this stage, I believe you know what to do. That said, thanks for watching this video and I'll definitely see you on my next one.